And now, insurance-minded speeches from Geico.
Hardship. My grandmother would go through it every month to pay her insurance bill. First, she would handwrite a paper check, in cursive. Then, using her own tongue, she would wet a stamp for an envelope. Today, however, we need not weary our hands and tongues. Today, we can pay our Geico bill with the Geico app. Away with hardship, in with bill pay on the Geico app. Thank you.
Episode 922 of No BS Job Search Advice Radio. I'm your host, Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, the head coach for JobSearchCoachingHQ.com and NoBSCoachingAdvice.com. And welcome. I'm coming up on the completion of 7 years of doing this show. This is episode 922 of what was originally a weekly show done on Monday mornings. It is now a 7-day-a-week show. The anniversary, the completion date is the 20th of November. I'll have completed 7 years, and early next year, I'll be the first show about job search to ever hit 1,000 episodes. So this one is about the best questions, the 2 best questions you should ask on any interview. The 2 best ones. I hope you find it helpful. I hope you give the show 5 stars on iTunes or Stitcher. It helps other people discover the show. And if we're not connected on LinkedIn, send a connection request to me at linkedin.com/IN/the Big Game Hunter. Mention that you listen to the show because I love to hear from all of you folks who listen to it. It's one of the things that puts a smile on my face. So, by the way, one last thing, because I know I've put a lot on you so far just at the beginning of this show. If you're interested in my coaching, you listen at the very end of the show. There's information about how to connect with me about coaching. And now, let's get going. And today I'm going to talk with you about the 2 best questions you should ask on every interview you ever go on and when you should ask them. Now, let me start by reviewing what a typical interview looks like. You walk in, you sit down, the interviewer looks at you and in that certain voice says, tell me about yourself and what you've been doing professionally. And you answer. And they ask you some follow-up questions and you answer those. And if you're in disciplines where there's objective knowledge that's required, like in IT or engineering or accounting, they'll ask you some questions to measure your knowledge. Eventually they'll say, do you have any questions for us? You'll say, tell me about the job. They'll do that. You'll say, sounds great, terrific, we'll get back to you. And that's a typical interview. Let's do a different interview. So you walk in, you sit down, and as the 2 of you, get comfortable in your seats, just as each of you has your derriere reach the seat, I'd like you to start talking. And you start by saying, thank you for making the time to meet with me. Now, I remember seeing the position description, but I want to get your take on the role. Could you tell me about the job as you see it and what I could do to help you? Or if you've been scheduled by an agent, you might say, I spoke with Jeff Altman about the job and he gave me a brief description, but I want to get your take on the role. Tell me about the job as you see it and what I could do to help. Now, what this does is it takes that question you normally ask at the end of the interview and moves it up to the very beginning. See, my thinking is, even if you've seen a job description, even if you've replied to an ad, what you're able to do now is by moving that question to the beginning, you're able to get the current thinking about the job and tailor your answers to what matters to them. See, again, even if you've seen the job description, from the time they started interviewing to now, they may have changed their thinking about it. So you want to get the current thinking that they have about the job, get the information at the beginning of the interview, and then use it to your advantage. What are you going to do? Not lie, but you're going to talk about what you've done in the context of what they're looking for. See, most people talk about what they've done professionally on an interview, but they don't talk about what they've done in the context of what the employer is looking for, because they don't know until the end of the interview. So that to me is a great question to ask, and I've told you exactly when to ask it. Now, since we've taken that question out of the end of the interview, see, When you normally say, tell me about the job, you normally ask it at the end of the interview. You can't just re-ask the question, of course. You have to substitute a different question. And this is the question I'd like you to substitute at the end of the interview when they ask you whether you have any questions for them. Here it goes. So let's say it's a year from now, and it comes time for you to give me my review. And I haven't just done a good job. I haven't just done a great job. Maybe I've done one of the best you've ever seen. What would I have accomplished during that year that would cause you to give me that kind of review? Now, number one is you're letting the employer know you're not thinking small, you're thinking about doing great work. Number two is you're going to get an idea of how realistic they are in their thinking about this job. Because after all, if they mention something that's totally crazy that you would have accomplished, how would you ever do it? But, again, what you're doing is planting a seed in their mind about your drive for excellence. You're getting them to talk about the job and some of the day-to-day stuff in the role differently than they might otherwise, with a great question that I think will give you a lot of good information. So that's today's show. I hope you found it helpful. And if you did, here's a few ways that I can be of help to you. First of all, if you're interested in one-on-one coaching from me, help with interview preparation, or with assistance on a salary negotiation, email me at Jeff Altman at thebiggamehunter.us. In the subject line, tell me what it's about, coaching, interview prep, salary negotiation, whatever it is, just put it in the subject line, and in the body, just tell me what's going on, and we'll schedule a time to speak. Next, if you're interested in resume and LinkedIn profile reviews, critiques and such, or a job search makeover where I review every aspect of what you've been doing in your search and try and help you make corrective action one time, you can find out about it at my website, which is thebiggamehunter.us. Look for the tab on top that indicates the kind of service that you want. Click through, place the order, and we'll get to work right away. And there's always JobSearchCoachingHQ.com, where I have curated information that you can watch, listen to, or read that's going to help you find work more quickly. Plus, through the site, for one price, you can also ask me questions as well. Again, that site is JobSearchCoachingHQ.com. I'll be back with more soon, and in the meantime, have a great day. Take care.
Daddy, where do babies come from?
Honey?
Mommy went to the store.
Oh, well, you see, there's a mommy and a daddy, right?
Right.
And see, when they call Geico, they could save a bunch of money on car insurance.
Oh, really? And that makes them happy?
Yes, that makes them very happy.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we could have this talk, Sunshine.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.